All these things we don't know. In some parts of the town, the streets were lined with stone buildings, while in others there were nothing but wooden ones. The cobblestone street twisted and turned, making it hard to see far ahead. Next to the wide road, there was an aqueduct, with water flowing through it that was mostly pure. At times there was a foul odor, likely of excrement, but as they walked onwards it stopped bothering them. Hyomu led the group of 12 men and women into the town beyond the hill. From what she had said, this town was called Ortona. There were people living here, as might be expected from something called a town, and though it was early morning, they passed no small number of people who seemed to be residents. The residents all stared at the 12 as if they were an unusual sight, but the 12 found themselves staring right back. After all, the people were all dressed weirdly. Wait, weird? How? Compared to the 12, their clothes were simple and shabby, not showy at all. So, like, this place, started Playboy, is it like, a foreign country or something? Corley turned his head, trying to come up with an answer. A foreign country? A country? Come to think of it, what nationality am I anyway? Huh, weird, I can't remember. Actually, I can't remember my address and such either. Huh? What you hadn't noticed? Gangster said in a low voice. My name is all about I still know. The phrase still know caught his attention. It probably meant something different than just not having known at all. Maybe Gangster had been hit with that feeling of trying to trace his memories back only to feel them vanishing too. My name, Coley thumped his chest. My name is Wanta. Other than that, yeah, no clue. Oh, seriously? I've got memory disappearance. I think you mean he broke in without meaning to and then immediately regretted it. Still, he couldn't very well stop now. Memory loss, right? Listen, buddy, Curly said with a sigh. If you're gonna be the smart guy, can't you do it better? It requires a certain spirit, you know. When you half-ass it like that, it's awkward for me as the guy playing the fool for you. It kills the mood. Well, whatever. I'll overlook it this once. So, who are you? You'll overlook it? In what way had Ranta been playing the fool? What a horrible attempt at humor. He wasn't fully convinced, but a name? What was his no name? His own name? I'm Haruhiro, I think. Curly, aka Ranta, made an exaggerated tripping gesture, like a pitfall. You think? Hold on, buddy, you don't even know your own name? Okay, I know we're talking about how my name's all I know, but this guy's pretty annoying, Haruhiro thought, glancing over at Gangster who was walking behind Hyomu. He wondered what Gangster's name was. He kind of wanted to ask, but he was too scared of the man. Though he didn't intend it as a replacement for asking Gangster, he turned to the slender man of silky hair and asked, "How about you?" "Oh," replied Silky with a smile, "he was rather an eloquent man. I'm Manato. Do you mind if I call you Haruhiro? No honorifics or anything?" "Oh, sure, that's fine." "Then can I call you Manato too?" "I'm fine with that, of course." When Manato smiled, he couldn't help but smile too. He looks like a good guy. I could probably trust him, he thought. Wanta was annoying. Gangsta scared him, and Buzzcut had a scary face. Flashy felt like she came from a world far removed from his, and it was hard to approach an intelligent-looking guy like Glasses. Braids, timid, and tiny. What about those three girls? Timid, he had talked to a little already, and she was close by. He figured he'd at least try to get her name. But when it came to actually asking, he was a bundle of nerves. Haruhiro cleared his throat. Hey, yes? Now, it's not anything important, but, I'm Kikara. Yeah, Playboy suddenly exclaimed, striking a weird pose. Hey, forget the guys. Let's hear from the ladies. You want to shoot off some introductions or not? Braith shook her head. Not. No way, Playboy, aka Kikara, looked pathetically shot down. Haruhiro couldn't help but feel a little gleeful. Kikara's attempt had given him the momentum he needed. Haruhiro tried to ask as straight as he could. What's your name? It'd be easier to address you if we knew you. Or compared to not knowing at least. Ah, Timid looked down, pulling at her bangs, as she was trying to hide her face. Her eyes, nose, and lips were modest, but she was pretty cute. There was nothing she needed to hide, at least. I'm Shiholu. That's my name. I mean, more or less. Sorry. No, you don't need to apologize. Sorry, it's a habit. I'm sorry. I'll try not to. Shiho was trembling like a newborn fawn. Was this girl going to be okay? He was worried just by looking at her. It stimulated a protective instinct in him. "You're a big guy," said Manato, who was talking to the gentle giant. "How tall are you?" "Huh?" said the big man, blinking absently. "My height? I'm 160 centimeters." "160?" Ranta interjected. "That's smaller than me, the guy who's self-proclaimed 170 centimeters, you know." I got it wrong. It was 180, 86, around there, I think. My name is Moguzo, probably. "Give me 10 of your centimeters right now, Moguzo," Ranta demanded, jabbing Moguzo in the side, as if that were possible. "If I get your 10 centimeters from you, I'll be 178. You'll be 176. What a turnaround. That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?" "If I could give them to you," replied Moguzo. "Hold on," Haruhiro could only curse himself as he started to correct Ranta again. "In that case, your height isn't over 170. You're really 168. Oh, shut up. Sorry. You look like you're about the same height as me anyway," Ranta huffed. "I'm just barely 170. You're a piece of work, you know that? You're a fiend who discriminates against people over measly 2 centimeters. This guy is such a pain," Haruhiro muttered. "Huh, I didn't quite hear you right. Did you say something? You did, didn't you? You said something." "Nothing, nothing. I didn't say a thing, honest." "You liar, you lying, perverted, deviant bastard. Don't underestimate my devilishly good hearing. This is what you said. You and your natural curls can go to hell, you bastard." "No, I seriously did not say that." "You called me curly. That's the one thing you can't call me. That word is banned, damn it." "Yeah, and I didn't say it. Listen when people are talking to you." "I was listening. I was listening so well, I've got calluses on my ears. Anyway, I don't forgive anyone who calls me curly. That's an executable offense. Don't you forget it." "Curly," Gangster turned around and said, "you're annoying. Shut up." "Yes, sir," said Curly, aka Wanta, in a tiny voice. "Yes, sir. Sorry, I'll be shutting up now." Haruhiro shrugged. "Weren't you never going to forgive that?" "You moron," Wanta said quietly. "I'm a guy who chooses the right time and place. They call me Master Choice. I'm gonna be the Decision King." "Yeah, you go ahead and do that. I'll become a king of discernment, not detergent, discernment, the Decision King. That's what I'll be." Curly, Gangster stopped and turned around again. "Shut up." "Yee!" Wanta quickly did a jumping kowtow. I'm sorry." "Oh, rather than the king of decision," Haruhiro said, looking down at Wanta, "why not become the king of kowtows instead?" "That's it." Wanta raised his head and snapped his fingers. "Wait, no, is not it. Being the king of kowtows would be way too lame, no matter how high my kowtow skill is." Clearly, Gangster sounded ready to kill him. "This is the third time." "Yee!" Lancer did another kowtow, rubbing his forehead on the cobblestones. "I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Forgive me, please." This guy's already the king of kowtows, thought Haruhiro, but he decided not to say so. If he said anything, they'd probably just start arguing again, and that would be a pain. After that, they continued on in silence until Hyomu stopped in front of a two-story stone building. The building was flying a flag with a red crescent moon on a white field. There was a sign out front as well. On the sign it said Autumn Frontal Armed Volunteer Soldier Corps Red Mon, which seemed weird. On closer inspection, many of the letters had lost their color or peeled off. "Ta-da!" said Hyomu, pointing at the sign. "We finally arrived. Yes, we have. Here it is. The office of the famous Volunteer Soldier Corps of the Autona Frontier Army, Red Moon." Haruhiro whispered, "Red Moon," and looked to the sign again. It made sense now. If you read it with the missing bits, it did say Autona Frontier Army Volunteer Soldier Corps Red Moon. Come in, come in." Hyomu gestured them into a large room that was like a beer hall, with tables and chairs scattered around, and at the back a counter. Behind the counter was a man with his arms crossed. Haruhiro, the others, and Hyomu were the only other people there. "Well, that's it for me," Hyomu said with a bow to the man behind the counter. "I know I do this every time, but give them a rundown, 'kay, Bree-chan?" The man she called Bree-chan gave a light "righty-o" in response and waved goodbye to her with his arms still crossed. For some reason, he shook his lips as well as waving his hand. "I'm leaving now. Bye-bye," Hyomu said as she left. Once she closed the door behind her, a strange tension spread through the room, likely because Wei Chen was closely examining Haruhiro and the others. That must have been it. After all, Wei Chen looked pretty suspicious. Way too suspicious. Wei-Chan bent over, resting both elbows on the counter, and rested his chin on top of his clasped hands. It was a cleft chin, but well, that in detail didn't matter so much, because it was his hair color that set off warning flags. It was green. On top of that, he must have had lipstick on or something, because his lips were black. He had pale blue eyes, surrounded by long, thick lashes, and though the color was beautiful, that only made him more terrifying. It seemed like he'd used Rogue on his cheeks too. He had thick makeup overall, even though no matter how you looked at him, Bree Chen was a guy. Hmm, he nodded to himself a number of times, then stood up. Very nice. Come here, my little kittens. Welcome. I'm Brittany, the chief and host here at the office of Red Moon, the volunteer soldier corps of the Autona Frontier Army. You can call me Chief, but Bree-chan is fine too. Though, if you do call me that, make sure you say it with lots of love, okay? Chief, Gangster walked straight up to the counter, cocking his head to one side. Answer my questions. I know that this town is called Altona, but what is this Frontier Army and Volunteer Soldier Corps stuff about? Why am I here? Do you know? You've got spunk, Bree-chan said with a chuckle. I've got a thing for boys like you. What's your name? It's Renji, and I hate fags like you. Oh, do you now? For a moment, Haruhiro wasn't sure what Bree-chan had done. His movements had been not only fast, but smooth and all too natural. Renji, let me give you a tip. Bree-chan pressed the knife against Renji's throat, his eyes narrowing threateningly. Nobody who calls me a fag lives for long. You look like a clever boy. I think you catch my meaning. Or do you want to try it again? Well, Renji said. Haruhiro gulped. Renji seized the knife's blade with his bare hand. Though the blade had been fixed in the place of his palm and fingers, there was blood dripping from the base of his thumb. I never wanted a long life, and I don't care to give in to those threats, he said. If you think you can take me, do it, chief fag. In due time, Bree-chan replied, licking his lips and stroking Renji's cheek. I'll take you hard, as many times as I like, and when I'm done, you'll never be able to forget me. Hey, Wanta whispered to Haruhiro, when he says he'll take him, I'm pretty sure he means it in a different way. What way? Braids asked Wanta with a blank look. Huh? Well, like putting something in a place where things are supposed to come out of, basically. How do I say this? Hey, Haruhiro, don't look to me to get you out of this. You dug this hole. Get out of it yourself. You're cold, man. You've got a kindness deficiency. You're the absolute zero of human kindness. Well, anyway, Kikawa the playboy got between Renji and Bree-chan. It's our first meeting. There are bound to be misunderstandings. Let's settle this peacefully. Let's try and get along and be cheery. Okay? Okay? In deference to my good looks. Your good looks? Renji glared at Kikawa and snorted divorcedly as he let go of the knife. Bree-chan pulled back his knife, wiping the blood from it with a rag. Looks like we have a few reckless ones here. 8 men, 4 women. There aren't quite enough women, but I prefer it that way, and men are more likely to be useful in battle anyway, so it's no problem. Monato cocked an eyebrow. In battle? Right, Bree-chan said with a smile. It was pretty creepy. Frankly, useful in battle. This is a volunteer soldier office, Monato said, looking down. So does this mean we're becoming volunteer soldiers or something? Oh my, Bree-chan clapped. You've got some promise too. That's exactly it. You are going to be volunteer soldiers. You do have some freedom to decide though, you know. Master choice, Haruhiro said, slapping Grant on the back. You're up. I am, aren't I? On I? All of you can choose, Breachant said, lifting up his index finger and wriggling it around. You can accept my offer or reject it. The offer is to join our Red Moon Volunteer Soldier Corps as part of the Autona Frontier Army. Well, you'll be starting as trainees aiming to become fully fledged volunteer soldiers. Volunteer soldiers? Said Flashy with a frightening look on her face. What do they even do? They fight, Breachan said with a wave of his hand, looking like he wanted to add a "you silly goose" afterward. Here on the borderlands, there are races that are hostile to us humans, as well as lots and lots of monsters. The Frontier Army's duty is to exterminate them and secure the frontier. But to be honest, it's not an easy job. As a matter of fact, the Frontier Army has its hands full just maintaining its front line base in Altona. So that's where our Volunteer Soldier Corps comes in. So basically, Glasses adjusted the position of his glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. While the regular forces protect the town, the Volunteer Soldier Corps strikes out to slay hostile races and monsters. Is that it? To put simply, yes, Breachand said, spreading his hands like a flower. He may have thought it looked cute, but it was pretty creepy. Though that said, it isn't like the Frontier Army is purely defensive, you know? There are times when they launch expeditionary forces to assault the strongholds of hostile races. It's just that large-scale military operations have their limitations. With supply logistics and whatnot, lots of things need to be thought out in advance. After all, volunteer soldiers aren't like that. Kikawa was following along with the exaggerated nods, like, how are they different? We volunteer soldiers, Chan began, bringing his hands together and wiggling the tips of his fingers, appear suddenly and unexpectedly infiltrating enemy territory left and right, surveying, causing confusion, and finding ways to weaken opposing forces. Though we cooperate with the main force, we very rarely engage in organized operations. Most volunteer soldiers act alone or in small parties of 3 to 6 people. I would think we use our own individual skills and judgment to gather intel and strike the enemy. That is the way of the Volunteer Soldier Corps Red Moon. And Reggie asked, flexing his fingers on his right hand. There was no blood dripping from it. The bleeding had already stopped. What happens if I turn down your offer? Nothing really, you know. Brichan tilted his head and shook his waist a little. Was he fooling around? Perhaps he was fooling around and threatening them at the same time. It was pretty scary after all. I already told you, you have room to decide. You can choose. If you don't want to be a volunteer soldier, you're welcome to leave right now. Wanta said, scratching at his curly hair. Maybe I'll pass then. I don't really get it, but you know, I'm fundamentally a pacifist and all. Fine, bye then, take care. Yeah, you can take care too, Bree-chan. Wanta turned around and walked towards the exit and stopped. Hold on, but once I leave here, what am I supposed to do? I can't take responsibility for you after that, Bree-chan laughed. If you aren't joining the Corps, you're free to do as you please. Those of you who become volunteer soldier trainees will each receive 10 silver coins. 10 silver. That will be enough for you to live on for the time being, I think. Silver coins? Manato's eyes widened and he began fishing through his pockets. Oh yeah, money. Haruhiro touched his hip and back pockets too. They were empty. He had nothing on him, which of course meant he was penniless. A part-time job, maybe? Rance's face twisted and he hung his head. I could look for one. That's about all I can do for now. Hopefully something conveniently falls into your lap, Bree-chan said with an exaggerated shrug. But any other job you find will come with its own troubles, you know? Even if you luck into someone's willing to hire you, they'll pay you barely anything, and you're genuinely starting out doing grueling menial tasks, or looking after the owner or master's personal needs. Ew, Kikawa said, slapping his forehead. It's a tough world, man. I don't know what to say. Do we have to, like, just go with the flow here? I do believe I told you, flow or no flow, the ones should I do believe I told you, flow or no flow, the ones should decide whether you join or not are, Wei Chen pointed at each of them, yourselves. Renji took a deep breath. Be specific. What do we need to do first? Oh, Renji, don't disappoint me. Aren't you listening? Use your own individual skills and judgment to gather intel and strike the enemy. That's the volunteer soldier way. So as trainees, we need to search and think for ourselves too then. That's right. Bree-chan nodded and began lining something up on the counter. Reddish coin-like objects in little leather pouches, 12 sets in total. Bree-chan held one of the coin-like objects, which had a crescent moon on it, between his fingers. This badge identifies the holder as a trainee. It's known as a trainee badge. As such, it will be proof of your status as a volunteer soldier trainee. If you take one, don't lose it. Well, not that carrying it would do much for you either. Though once you buy your core badge from me with 20 silver coins and become a full member of the volunteer soldier corps, that one will have some perks. Hold on, Buzzcut said in an agitated tone. You want us to pay you for status? Yes. Is that a problem? I don't like it. Say what you like, but without money, you can't eat, you can't clothe yourself, you can't do anything. What choice do you have? You can go die in a ditch if you prefer. Renji laughed a little at that one. Even in hell, money matters, huh? Hell, Breach tilted his head to the side quizzically. Well, that's about right. Anyway, I know this is odd to say after telling you to figure things out yourselves, but I would think your first goal should be to buy a Corps badge and become a volunteer soldier. Fair enough. Renji took a trainee badge and little pouch. I don't know about this volunteer soldier business or whatever, but I'll do it. We'll talk after that. After Renji, Buzzcut took a trainee badge and little pouch. A little bit after him were flashy, monotone glasses. Kikawa said, Okay then, I'm getting in on this too. Then went to take two pouches on each of his hands slapped by Buchan. There wasn't much of a choice, but why do this? To get money? Or in other words, to stay alive maybe? If that was why, then he supposed he had to. It was unavoidable, but he still had a bad feeling about it. Shiho, Braids, and Tiny all seemed hesitant. Ranta and the big guy Moguzo hadn't decided yet either. Buchan turned his pale blue eyes towards them. What about you? I don't know. Ranta walked towards the counter, mumbling to herself. I feel like I'm about to get screwed here. I've got a vaguely bad feeling about all this. Braids followed behind Ranta. Well, there's a will, there's a way, they say. No, Haruhiro shook his head. I don't think anybody says will, or way. Oh, Braids turned back, her hand outstretched towards the badge and pouch. They don't? Yume's always said it was. Oh, Braids turned back, her hand outstretched towards the badge and pouch. They don't? Yume's always said it with will, and way. You learned it wrong then. It's just there's a will, there's a way. Oh, but it sounds cuter with will, and way. Yume thinks cute is important too. It definitely did sound cuter that way. Braids, whose name was apparently Yume, giggled with genuine glee. Isn't it though? While they'd be bantering, Tiny had taken a badge and pouch. Moguzo, Shihoru, and Haruhiro were the only ones left. Not wanting to be last, Haruhiro grabbed the badge and pouch. While he was opening his pouch to confirm there were 10 tiny silver coins inside, Moguzo unhurriedly came and took a trainee badge and pouch. Shihoru was the last to do so. Congratulations, Breachan said, smiling and clapping. Now all of you are volunteer soldier trainees. Work hard and learn to stand on your own quickly. Once you're proper volunteer soldiers, I wouldn't be adverse to giving you some advice. Then suddenly, hey, thud. Ugh. They saw Buzzcut was now flat on the floor. It had happened in an instant, so they couldn't be sure, but maybe Renji had punched Buzzcut. Punched him? Why would he have done that? Get up, Renji said with a blank expression. You jerk! Buzzcut shouted and tried to get up, only for Reggie to immediately kick him, sending him sprawling across the floor. What's wrong? Get up. What's your problem, your ass? From the first time I saw you, I wondered which of us was stronger. It's time for me to show you that answer. Get up. Damn it! Renji was going to strike as soon as Budcut tried to spring up. Since it was obvious even to a bystander like Haruhiro, Buzzcut just needed to avoid it. Well, Buzzcut did try to dodge it, but Renji moved ahead of where he was going and punched him, kicked him, then grabbed him by the ear and pulled. As Buzzcut let out a scream of pain, he kneed him hard in the solar plexus. Not just once, again and again. After that, Renji took Buzzcut's head in both hands. He swung his own head back and gave him a headbutt. There was a loud thud, and Buzzcut slumped down and fell to one knee. You've got a hard head, Renji said, rubbing his forehead with one finger. It had gone red and was bleeding a little. Tell me your name. Buzzcut kept his hands off the floor, putting them on his knee for support instead. He may have been bearing the pain out of stubborn unwillingness to crawl. It's Ron. Damn, you're strong. You're pretty tough yourself. Come with me, Ron. Yeah, I'll stick with you for now. Good. Now who else? Renji looked around the office, stalking on Minato. Minato yacked at Renji's glance with a narrowing of his eyes. Renji moved right on, looking away from Minato's glasses. You look like you could be useful. Come with me. Glasses crossed his arms and blinked a couple of times in surprise. Then, adjusting the positions of his glasses with the middle of his right hand, he gave a curt nod. Sure, I'm Adachi. It's a pleasure, Renji. Renji responded by raising one side of his mouth and just smoke, then turned his eyes on Haruhiro. Huh, maybe he wants me too, thought Haruhiro, surprised and somewhat delighted. After all, Renji looked muscular, and he had demonstrated he was strong enough to easily take down Wan. He was a man of action. He could think on his feet, too. He was scary and seemed hard to get along with, but if Haruhiro could get past that, Renji was definitely reliable. If Renji was willing to take him along, it would probably make life easy from here out. He couldn't deny that he felt that way, but those feelings soon shriveled up and died, because Renji looked elsewhere. He'd been ignored. You there, Chibi. Eh? The girl who's... The girl... Eh? The girl who was tiniest among the 12 of them had a tiny voice too. When she said, "Come," and gestured for her to follow, Chibi-chan may have been staring off into space. She toddled over in his direction and looked up at Renji. Renji patted Chibi-chan on the head. "You look like you'll be useful. Come along." Chibi-chan said, "Hey," and nodded, her face flushed red. There was something about her that resembled a boiled egg. More than her looks, it was her little gestures and overall essence that lent a mascot-like adorableness. But useful? Haruhiro didn't know that. And wait, Renji had decided Chibi-chan would be but useful? Haruhiro didn't know about that. And wait, had Renji decided Chibi-chan would be more useful than him? He didn't know whether to feel humiliated or just sad. "We're going." Renji gestured to the office door with his chin. As Ron, Adachi, Chibi-chan, and Renji began to walk away, Flashy shouted, "Wait, take me too!" Renji let out a short sigh. "I don't need any useless baggage." "I'll do anything," Flashy said, clinging to Renji. "I'm Sasa. Please, absolutely anything. I'll do it." "Absolutely anything, huh?" "Absolutely anything, huh?" Renji said, shoving Sasa away. "Don't forget." "Absolutely anything, huh?" Renji said, shoving Sasa away. "Don't forget those words." "Yeah, I won't. And don't touch me." "Gotcha. Good. You come too." "Thanks, Renji." Sasa opened the door and Renji and his followers walked out. Sasa was the last to leave when the door closed. The 7 people remaining looked defeated. Sasa was the last to leave. When the door closed, the 7 people remaining looked defeated. "Ah!" Kikawa said, grimacing and scratching his head. "Wish I could have gotten on Team Renji too. Between Renji and Ron, they're probably unbeatable in a fight. Adachi looks smart, Chibi-chan's cute as a button, and Sasa was smoking hot. Man, I'm so jealous, but, well, them's the breaks. I'm out to gather info. Toodles!" Before he could say anything, Kikawa had left the office. Haruhiro exchanged glances with Shihoru. Shihoru hung her head in shame. "Well, I'm off too," said Minato, heading for the exit. "I won't learn anything staying here, so I'm going outside to look around. See you all later." "Yeah, see you." As Haruhiro was waving goodbye to Minato, it occurred to him that maybe he should tag along. Minato was approachable, unlike Renji. He seemed good-natured and was probably reliable. But even though he couldn't care less about Ranta, what would Shihoru and Yume do? Munguzo was here too, right? If they all went together, that would solve the problem. Except, by the time Haruhiro figured that out, Minato was no longer in the office. But he was sure it was still not too late. "Listen, us staying here really won't help. Let's all go after Minato." And Haruhiro only got that far before the door opened. Perhaps it's Minato coming back? But it wasn't. It was another man who had entered the office. He wore an outfit made out of hide, a cap with a feather in it, and a bow and arrows slung over his back. He looked a few years older than Haruhiro and the others. The man had eyes like a fox and a crooked mouth. "Hey, a chief." "Oh my," Bree-chan looked at the man. "If it isn't Kuzu." "Oh my," Bree-chan looked at the man. "If it isn't Kuzoka. What's going on? Did you need me for something?" "No, that's not why I came," Kuzoka said. "But "No, that's not why I came," Kuzuoka said, with a glance to Haruhiro and the others. "I heard we had some newbies, so I came for a peek. News sure makes it to you fast, but we had 12 this time, and only 5 of them are still here." "Oh, there are leftovers then, huh?" Ranta's face stiffened. "Well, sorry for being left over." "You ought to be sorry, you know," Kuzuoka said with a glare at Ranta, then gave Haruhiro and the others the once-over to evaluate them. Well, it's the frontliners we're short on anyway." Hey, big guy, you'll do. Moguzo pointed at himself. Me? That's right, I mean you. When I say big guy, you're the only one here I can mean. I'll let you join our party. I'll show you the ropes. I can even lend you a little money. It's a pretty sweet deal, don't you think? Now, if you understand me, come along. Okay. Moguzo, where are you going? Ransa grabbed Moguzo by the left arm. Don't do it. This guy is clearly dodgy. Okay. Just come already. Kuzoka pulled his right arm. As a trainee, you should be grateful just to be let into a party. Also, I am not dodgy. Uh, uh, okay. Moguzo, don't let him trick you. A guy who's dodgy is never going to tell you he's dodgy. Ouch, that hurts, you know. Oh, wants to let go of his arm. Sorry. Moguzo apologized meekly. Okay, let's go now, Kuzoka said savagely, dragging Moguzo away. Shiho's shoulder slumped. They left. Now there Yume counted 1, 2, 3 on her fingers as she pointed to Haruhiro, Wanta, Shihoru, and finally herself. Four of us, huh? Darlings, Breechan said, stifling a yawn. Just how long do you plan on standing there? I'm busy with work of my own. If you're just planning on loitering around, I'll toss you out, you know? Wanta looked to Haruhiro and the others like a beaten dog. Should we get out of here? How he how he will figured the look on his own face must have at least been as pathetic as Ranta's. Yeah,